I suppose the question may have occurred to you that if this water is so darn cold, why do I keep getting into it? Well, that's a very good question. And in fact, I think it's a very good question to ask our guest today. Marjorie Turner Holman is she has a whole book. She's got a number of whole books out on how we can manage and strategize for better health and more fun, even when we have disabilities. So wait just a minute, Marjorie, before you speak, because I have to tell them this is Swimming Upstream. That's right, Swimming Upstream Radio Show. And today we're going to just get you some answers you were never expecting. Answers indeed you never wanted. Answers, oh, well, never mind. Marjorie, welcome.
So sorry. You crack me up, Dorothy. They can't see that I was putting my index finger over my lips because this is my saying, don't interrupt.
That's is right.
Reminder.
Right. I was setting it all up for you, and there you go. So one thing, and just in case there's anybody that hasn't heard of you, I can't be very, that can't be common, but you've written a lot of books, not just one, about traveling and having a full life, even though you might have a disability. That could be a liability, a disability or two or three. Mm-hmm. You have and haven't let it slow you down much.
Oh, I move at about the speed of a turtle, but I've gotten really used to that. So I just broke my toes, so I've slowed down to more like a worm than a turtle, but it's actually getting better. No, and mentally I haven't slowed down, but I have slowed down my expectations of what I might accomplish on any particular day. But, when you keep doing something steady, and it's the hare and the tortoise, and you just keep on doing something regularly, even if it's small, all those little things add up.
Well, what about your books? You've written, as I say, you've written a number of
Well, I have, and especially I've written with other people and with a whole bunch of people helping me do that. These are not books that I've done on my own. For one thing, they're trail guides, so they're finding places for easy walks. That is, not too many roots or rocks, relatively level with firm footing and something of interest along the way. The truth is that I haven't done any of those on my own. I don't go out and walk alone. So to make these books, going out and visiting these places in the field work, I needed help. And so I have learned a lot of different ways to ask for help, which is going to be the theme of my latest book about help is not a 4-letter word, even though it looks like it.
Well, I think that's so terrific because it was, as you know, I'm dealing with Parkinson's, and people are so kind. I need help all the time, and I have never had anybody say no or pull away, like they might do, little old lady there or whatever. So I think if we realize that many times people are a little afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely. It's something that a lot of us have been shamed about in the past, or feel like it's asking like you're begging. And what I've learned is asking for help is actually an invitation for connection.
Yes, I like that.
And it's actually a very powerful reframing of that whole concept of, oh, I need to help, I'm begging. No, you're not begging. You may feel like you are, but you're actually extending an invitation for connection with someone else. And they're going to benefit from it too, even though they might not realize it right at the time.
Well, what I find is one thing is don't ask for too much.
You have to spread your net wide.
It isn't that they don't want to help. That isn't the problem.
Right.
it's just, but if, here's the funny thing. Now, so you ready for this? It's, for me, if with Parkinson's, freeze, they call you just can't move. It's pretty common and pretty scary. But I have found, for some reason I don't really understand, is that if someone will just put their hand under my elbow, I can manage my elbow. It makes it, well, so that's enough. You don't tell them anything else. You don't make a speech. You don't explain the whole. You just say, could you do that for me? They will never say no.
Yeah, right.
Or shrink away. They might not say anything, but they might shrink away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, one of the things that I try to explain to people is you have to make it easy for people to say no if it's something that they might feel guilty about. That
how do you make it easy for them to say no?
I start off immediately by saying, I have other people I can ask. You're the first person. So if this doesn't work for you, please tell me no, so I'll feel okay to ask you for something else later. And
these are people then, or at least you've been.
Sometimes I've had to reach pretty far down the list.
See, I never know the person I talk to.
That when I was not driving for 7 years, I ended up talking to a lot of different people who were friends of friends or people from church. And there were a lot of people I really didn't know, but I still said, here's what I need to do. Please tell me if this is not okay, so that I could ask you another time.
And I think that's good, but I think this is our first tip, in case you wondered.
Yes, that's fine.
Is that, again, these are people I see on the street. I don't know them, and I'm never going to see them again.
And that's harder. But I think your ask is so small.
It's
at least in somebody else's experience.
Yeah. And if they say no, or what I would have expected that I haven't seen is that they would kind of shrink away or say, oh, no, I can't, or I'm busy, or something like that, but they never do.
With contra dancing, I had to learn that when you go to a dance, everybody has gone there to dance. And so if someone asks you to dance and you're a little uncomfortable, you just have to remind yourself, this is not a marriage proposal.
Right.
It's just a dance. And if you don't feel comfortable, that's okay. But if you say yes, you're not committing to a lifelong relationship. It's a 5-minute dance.
It might be good if you say a little about contra dancing. Not everyone knows what it is, or why on earth you thought you could do it.
Contra dancing, more people know square dancing from elementary school, and it's in long lines of pairs instead of in squares with 8 people. So you've got multiples of 2. And it's the same kind of music, jigs and reels and lots of fun stuff. And you've got partners and you have neighbors and you dance back and forth and you swing and you reach hands. It's a lot of upper body support. And there's actually 5 different Marjorie dances that got composed for me by a dance caller in years past, that were dances that were all moves that I could do.
That's delightful. What are they like? What are the moves like?
The moves, it's more what they avoid, like hey for 4, a gypsy, things that are unsupported. Right. And so there's a lot of upper body support there, which for me was really hard. I had danced before I got very ill and was paralyzed, and I was getting movement back, but it was still very hard. And so getting dances that were written specifically that I could enjoy was a real gift.
That's really good, I think. And I was just noting that, I think that would be my next tip we would put in, is that you find things, you don't give up the things you enjoy and are meaningful to you. You find ways of going around it. Sometimes you can do it, sometimes you can't.
That's right.
like you find out falling, we don't want to fall. Falling is a bad thing. So,
Right.
So we're not going to do that.
Well, I have recently.
Yeah, I
Yes,
heard that.
my poor little toes, but they're actually doing better.
Well,
So
I hope so.
thank you.
How long do you have to keep the bandage on?
Oh, there's no bandages with toes. When you break your toes, they basically, you just try to be nice to them. And actually, my doctor said if I keep wiggling them a little bit, it's actually okay. Makes your bones grow back better. So,
Well,
yeah, I was surprised.
Then we'll put that on our list of
I know. If
wiggle
you've got
toes frequently.
wiggle your toes a little bit, and it actually stimulates bone growth. Who knew? But my doctor told me, so it must be true.
Oh, good. That's good. Well, let's go all the way back to when did you write your first book?
My first book was in 2012. And
Wow.
I know. And that was, I had written a series of newspaper articles. You've been writing for newspapers for more years than we can count, I think. That I wrote a series of just articles going out to local nature trails and just wrote them. And I had this sense, just this little spidey sense that they might have some value. And I couldn't find any place to put them. So I had my writing website. I was helping people write. And I just put them up there. And by the 500th person that came to my website asking, where's Joe's Rock? And it's the next town. I said, I think there's a very local need. And so I already knew about publishing books for other people. And I said, why don't I see about putting a book together? And I forget exactly how long, but pretty soon I had 10 towns and maybe 35 different trails, all contiguous to where I live here in Massachusetts. And I published it and started sharing it, and people were really interested.
Well, I find that too. I think people really do love, whether it was ever different, I don't know. But, my books, way the bestseller is The True Tales of Puget Sound.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think people want to know, and how to find it and if to bother to go look at it.
Right, right.
But you started when you began writing for people with disabilities, as you said, back in a long time ago.
Oh, well, I actually from 1997 or so started writing just emails to people, stories about my kids who were quite small then, and stories about how do you live in a changed life. I was no longer able to walk easily. I wasn't able to work or drive. I'd had brain surgery that saved my life, but left my right side totally paralyzed for a time. And so I was trying to figure out what's next and how do you see yourself in a new changed body, changed life, changed circumstances, changed abilities. And so these were kind of meditations that were things I was thinking about as this time I was going through big transitions, some healing, some more discouragement, more seizures, more falls, more injuries, figuring things out, learning to write, because I was not a writer. I was a storyteller and a house cleaner and a mom. I was not a writer.
Well, when did you feel like now, how many books had you written when you thought you were a writer, do you think? I mean,
oh gosh. When I started writing for the second newspaper, when I wrote for one newspaper, and that was I was really getting mentored. And when I had the confidence to go to another newspaper and said, would you like me to write some articles for you? I feel like when I got that second yes, somebody that wasn't my mother telling me I was wonderful, but somebody who didn't really know me and said, I see what you've written. I'd like you to write some more. I think that's when I probably started believing that I was a writer.
What were the topics of those first books that people liked?
The first newspaper, they were all newspaper articles at that point. A lot of them were just community events and such, but I learned pretty quickly that my first editor really liked when I did personal profiles, when I would just do an article about somebody who had done something notable. Mm-hmm. And I sat down with them and drew out the story. And my editor kept saying, those are really good. I want you to do more of those.
And when did you get to the point then when you were mostly writing about people being able to travel with disabilities?
That was with my Easy Walks books. Mm-hmm. Basically, I just took that on, saw if it was an article, saw if there was a need. And then once I published the first book, I had a conversation with someone and they said, you really need to get a Facebook page, which I didn't have at the time. And what do you put on Facebook but pictures and a little bit? And so what I was doing was going out and walking. So I started finding other trails and putting pictures up and just saying, here you go. And don't you want this book? But before I knew it, I'd already written half of the next book just from publicizing the first one.
Well, what do you think, though, now for people that are watching, what can you tell them or suggest to someone that's starting to make their way with perhaps a foot disability, but with something, mm-hmm. Going to change things? Can you give a tip or two?
For being outdoors or for other?
I don't care. Okay. The people who are in can go out. It's okay.
Right. One of the really basic things is to have a plan B. For many, many reasons, if you have a plan and something interferes, have maybe a related possibility. If something just gets in the way and says, no, I can't do that, have another idea that you might be able to follow through, as opposed to saying, that didn't work, I gave up, I have to go home.
Do it again, yeah.
And that's very sad. If you've already gotten yourself moving, it's a lot easier to keep moving, even if you have to shift direction some, if you have to recalibrate what's possible. But have another possibility if that first idea doesn't work.
So, given all that, we sometimes have it happen that it just happened yesterday. Someone came to us and said, I want a whine. She had a new problem, new disability, and she had arrived at the fact that the best thing she could possibly do would be to whine at length. She would like this. This would make her feel good. And we thought, both of us, that she sounds good.
Well, I did tell my kids that when I hear whining, I stop listening. And they took that very seriously.
And well, they might.
Yes, they would. But I also, when I hear people say, why complain? It doesn't make anything better. And I work really hard to say, oh, I always feel better when I complain. And that makes them laugh, which was my point, is that sometimes you just have to, no, you can't always change everything, or even some things, but you can still laugh when you can. So we talked about how about having a wine tasting party.
Oh, wine and wine tasting.
Yes.
And we're still working on it, so we're not sure. But we did have some ideas for what it might be like.
One of the ideas that you and I talked about was to make sure that somebody has a timer, and that everybody has a turn if they want, but to keep it under 2 minutes, because most of us can listen to almost anything for about 2 minutes. And after that, we're going to lose patience But you know what? You can talk an awful lot in 2 minutes. I don't know how much we've already been talking. We've talked quite a while already.
Oh yeah, we're almost finished.
I know. So I'm talking fast. But for 2 minutes, you can actually say quite a lot.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then the timer goes off, somebody else gets a turn. And then everybody gets listened to and heard a little bit without feeling like anybody has taken the stage and dominated it. And take turns and learn how to share.
Nobody wants to learn how to share.
It's hard. It's hard. But it's an important lesson.
Now, I'm a person, I like strategies. I like to hear strategies. I was kind of taken aback, when my friend was telling about it, because I realized she's had a number of things go really wrong. And of course, we are in an assisted living community, so that means things are not going to go that much better, It's not my style, so I thought. But I think you got to stop and think, well, where do I need to be? Will I be helped? Will I be strengthened by sharing or having an opportunity to share?
Sometimes it can make a huge difference. When I was having seizures, I didn't realize that they were seizures because I didn't tell anybody what happened after them. And once I finally got told, you should tell your doctor that, they said, oh, those are seizures. We need to send you to a different doctor. And that changed things because I complained in words that somebody else understood. So sometimes you actually can make a difference that you thought things couldn't get any better or any different. That's not always true.
I know I've thought, sometimes I've used that strategy in saying something when something clearly it isn't working. You try something and it bounces back. It's okay, but it's not happening. I find that you can say, what words do you want me to use? What words do you need me to use? Which shows, I think, that you're not denigrating them, but just so now it's all over. The party's over. But I need you to give a really good example of your ability to keep going no matter what, and what you would urge our friends and relations who are right out here watching, what you would them to do, and do it fast.
I will do it very fast. Life is what we have. And it isn't that we're going to die, it's that today you're going to live.
Yes.
And so make the most of it.
That is very good. Why don't you make a little that should be a thing, not a pin, I don't think, because nobody wear it. I mean, they might, but what I mean, that's a good one.
Yeah. Today we're alive, and use it.
If you would like to have a copy of Marjorie's excellent saying, or would like to know more about her books, how do they get in touch with you, Marjorie?
MarjorieTurner.com. MarJorie, MarjorieTurner.com. Or Turn Her, but then that wouldn't be spelled right. So it's just Turner.
Okay, let's try and keep this a little simple.
MarjorieTurner.com.
Okay, TURNER, right?
That's right.
That's right. And so anyway, she has, and how many, your books are all still available?
They are. They're all on Amazon. You can find links on my website, or just look up Marjorie Turner or Marjorie Turner Holman, Easy Walks, and my Liturgy of Easy Walks. There's a bunch out there.
Okay, one life-changing tip.
None of us can do this alone.
Very good. Thank you very much. And we will see you again soon.
Thank you so much, Dorothy. It's a joy.
We had a good time.
I agree.
This is a production of the SOB radio company. SOB stands for Spunky Old Rods. And all the hosts are women over 50.